What is up, everybody? Welcome into another episode of It's Called Football. Jackson, I think this is episode 12 of the Premier League season, which means we have a lot left because the Premier League is still early on in the year. But before we hop into this past weekend's action, including some Champions League, some Europa League, a couple English teams letting down, to say the least, in those competitions this week, which entertaining from a neutral standpoint. Not entertaining if you're one of those fans. But how are you doing on this Thursday afternoon?
I'm good. I'm good. Just school's kicking my ass right now, man. I haven't written a vendetta post in a while because I've just been getting slammed. So
Yeah, you and me both.
we're just at that point of the year.
Yep. It's what, leading up to midterms, or you just had midterm stuff?
Yeah, we're leading into final projects kind of time. Like the final exams before the final exam just happened. I feel like so it's just everything's like cascading, and then you get like a little rest periods, and then you just get slammed again. So it's just how school works.
It does indeed. But fortunately, we have an hour here to talk Premier League action, and we'll start with probably the most controversial match of the weekend. Newcastle hosting Arsenal. Ultimately, Newcastle won 1-0. But Jackson, what happened as a Gunner fan yourself? What happened? Because that match was chaos. VAR, the center of attention once again.
I don't think that goal should have stood. I mean, like, okay, the offside thing, I understand. Like, you don't have a good view of it, so you can't call back the goal for the offside. Whatever, that's fine. You didn't know where the ball was. You don't have the camera angle. That's outside your control. But how is that not a foul on the push?
Mm-hmm.
Right? I saw that live time, and I was like, that's surely a foul. He had both hands out. You could see that it pushed him like this. Literally went like this because he got pushed in the back. So I was fairly confident that they were going to call it back because I was like, there's no way you go to review and then don't call this back. And like, I get it. The on-field call was no foul as a goal, so you need indisputable evidence. But I thought that was pretty indisputable. I saw two hands. You see the movement of Gabriel when he gets pushed. I don't know. I didn't like that they didn't call that. I really didn't. That's why we have VAR, is to fix things like that. We've seen so many examples recently too, where it's just the human element of VAR has been horrible. Like the actual decision making has been horrible. And I honestly support Mikel Arteta and his little rant about the VAR and just officiating in general in the Premier League right now. Arsenal supported him as well because it's bad. It's just bad. Quite honestly, it's just so bad. There are other examples we're going to talk about on this show. But that one, I was just like, how are you not going to call that a foul? And as a defender myself, what are you supposed to do? When some dude goes behind you and pushes you like that, you can't do anything. You're defenseless. He's literally defenseless. He can't stop that. So it should have been a foul. 100% should have been a foul.
Absolutely agree. My issue with that as well is if that happens anywhere else on the field, they're calling it for a foul.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that we see time and time again. If you get bumped from behind, doesn't matter if it's accidental or intentional or whatever it is, if you get pushed from behind, the ref is going to call a foul 9 times out of 10 in the middle of the pitch. Just because it happened to end up being a goal scoring opportunity and they end up scoring, it's like, we'll let it go this time. But I can't believe VAR is messing up this badly again.
It makes no sense.
Because
it really makes no sense.
And really, they had, like you said, they had 3 opportunities to rule this goal out. Offside, probably should have been. Like you said.
The out of bounds.
I understand about out of bounds, which that's the only one I'm like, that's probably the hardest to tell. You don't have the exact right down the line. If they had like what the NFL does, where they had cameras inside the flag posts or inside the goal posts, potentially, but that's far too. Premier League hasn't even mastered VAR yet. That'd be far too much technological advancement for them.
No, we're not ready for that.
And then obviously the push
is way behind. Soccer's always way behind with the technological evolution. We've seen instant replay in basketball and football for so long. It took us to what, 2015, 2016 for VAR?
Yeah. VAR. Yeah. Not even that. Was it that long?
Well, that was goal line technology.
That was goal line technology.
2014 World Cup, and I don't think we got VAR. Now that I'm thinking about it, till
2018. Yeah, at least. I think that might have been the first. Was that the first one? Was that
I
2018 World Cup?
yeah,
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 because I remember it was either Iran or Morocco player. VAR is bullshit
yeah.
and all that, but crazy. And this was one that hurt because Arsenal could have potentially had they that result gone their way to an extent. Had to say they could have scored. And that's the other thing. Didn't make too many chances. It wasn't like they could have won this really, but had
No,
Arsenal won it, they'd be sitting second in the table over Tottenham at the moment. Who we'll get into that one shortly. But another VAR chaos and
yeah.
just getting out of hand. We'll have a little bit of a rant on VAR after when we get into more Champions League stuff of just how bad it is, but it's just so inconsistent.
It is.
It's outrageous.
And again, the whole point is to solve the on-field mistakes. And I feel like we've seen so many more mistakes being committed
Yep.
in the VAR room than even on the field. You know,
Yeah.
and there's no excuse for it when you have multiple camera angles, all the resources in the world to make the right call, and they just don't. When you see lines not getting drawn properly, when you see stuff like this getting passed by, when you see refs making these crazy decisions all of a sudden, like it's incredible to me. It really is. Like, is English refereeing this bad?
Yes. This is
Yeah,
why
that's
this
fun. Yeah.
I really think it is. This is why there was only one referee from England who went to the World Cup in
Hmm.
Qatar this past no damn, coming up on a year ago.
Yeah.
It's just bad. And my biggest issue is that with the addition of VAR, refs seem less consistent, less inclined to actually make the right decision. So many times I've seen refs got players clearly offside. Small
Hmm.
remotely close, goes down, shoots the ball, and then 5 seconds later, oh, he's offside. If it's that blatant, call it immediately. What
Yeah.
are you doing? And it seems like we're very reliant, yet at the same time, I know if I was a ref, I'd be wanting to make the right calls because if I'm making the wrong calls, then it looks bad on me. You
Mm.
look bad as the referee if you're making a call and VAR goes and says, "Oh no, that was wrong." And I think that puts the pressure on these refs and it makes it a little more chaotic than it really needs to be.
Mhm.
But what else happened? What went wrong for Arsenal in this match? Because, like I said, only really had one shot on target. It wasn't exactly all that, but
We just looked stale in attack, you know? We had more of the chances, we had more of the ball, but we just never it just never felt like we were gonna score.
yeah,
Just genuinely did not feel like at any point that we were gonna score. You know, and again, would Gabby Sousa made the difference? I don't think so. I just think we came out flat. I
yeah,
genuinely think we came out flat. Saka, Martinelli, ineffectual on the day. And Kedia, ineffectual on the day. Granted, Newcastle also didn't look like they were going to score. You know, it
no,
took that crazy play for it to finally happen.
yeah,
But this game was as nil-nil of a game as you'll ever see.
yeah,
It 100% was. No team's offense was playing well. Decent defense, like pretty good defensively. I'd say it's more so on the lack of attack than it really was class defending. But this game had nil-nil written all over it. That was my feeling just watching up until the first goal, honestly. Like
yeah,
coming first 10 minutes out of the half, I was like, this is going to be nil-nil.
yeah,
Uh,
absolutely. Neither team deserved to win, and
yeah,
the guy who was missing, who I think probably would have had a bit more of an impact for Arsenal, was Martin Odegaard.
Martin.
Missing him was definitely notable. But it's two straight matches in the Premier League that Arsenal has just looked like half of their regular selves, losing 3-1 to West Ham and now 1-0 to Newcastle. Regardless, both on the road, say what you want, but if you're going to be competing for the Premier League title, you can't just fall flat on your face 2 matches in a row
Yeah.
because as we're seeing it, Man City is starting to take advantage and now jumped up to top of the table with a 6-1 demolition of Bournemouth. But Jeremy Doku was a stud in that one. I'm getting away from it, but if you're still winning 6-1 and Holland isn't even getting on the score sheet, you know other teams are in trouble. And this is what we see time and time again. Now it's Arsenal and Tottenham kind of falling apart a bit.
Yeah, it's early though, man.
It
It's
is.
still too early. I know we want to be sensationalistic with what we pick, you know, but it's just so early. There's so much that could happen.
Oh,
All
yeah.
it takes is a crowbar to Holland's kneecap, and the whole season's just back on like that.
Yeah, that's very true.
Like, and obviously I was saying that in a very crude way, but in
Right.
an injury to Holland.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah.
No, I get what you're saying. It's all it takes is one of those tiny little things, which it could happen. You land on the knee wrong, going up for a header, try and move, turn, and suddenly you're taken out. Anything can happen. But any other thoughts on this Arsenal match? Or you think is kind of just one of those days that neither team deserved a win, but Newcastle got a little lucky.
Yeah, I mean, at Newcastle, it's always going to be difficult. Knew they were going to defend well.
Yeah.
I just think it was one of those days. Like, we weren't supposed to win.
No.
I don't think they were supposed to win either. But you're at home, you've got the momentum with the fans behind you, and they were able to capitalize and make a play happen when they needed to. So, I mean, you got to take what happened. Did won against Sevilla in the Champions League this week, so big win there.
Yeah.
And yeah, big opportunity on the weekend to rectify things, but yeah, not a good game at all. Drops all the way down to fourth place. Granted, everyone's super close to the top still, but definitely would have at least wanted a point from that. So Arteta got to be very disappointed with that for sure.
Absolutely. But another manager and another team that probably will be a little disappointed in their performance, Tottenham at home to Chelsea. And we've talked time and time again on this show how Chelsea has been terrible, doesn't look like anything. I think what we both predicted 2 or 3-0 to Tottenham last week's episode. Chelsea come out, win 4-1, but 4-1 was kind of not as close as this match was. Or it was much closer than that score line says. And the first half was absolutely chaos.
Mhm.
I was expecting 20 to 30 minutes of stoppage time alone, which obviously Kulevsky gets the opener 6 minutes in, and you're thinking, oh God, this might get out of hand really quickly.
Mhm.
Then Tottenham had a goal disallowed. And then Chelsea had 2 goals that VAR disallowed. And then Christian Romero got sent off in the first half, which
on the second goal as well. That was disallowed, on the lead up to the shot.
which he had a rough one because obviously getting sent off 33 minutes in isn't great, but he had a tackle earlier that honestly could have gotten sent off for that as well. That nothing happened, threw the guy down, but
He's a little reckless with what he does sometimes.
yes, he does.
That's
And
what
this
I picked up on. Very reckless.
one of those games that he was very, very reckless. And ultimately, Cole Palmer put the penalty away, which I was honestly surprised that he was the one taking it.
Great pen though.
It was very. And then it kind of just went into the half. We had 12 minutes of stoppage time in the first half, but I know I tweeted out this was the most chaotic first half of football I've seen in a very, very long time. Everything that was going wrong was going wrong. Every instance there was someone complaining, going to VAR. Another example of VAR just having no use. And why does it take so long? I mean,
I don't know.
Casado, who scored the second goal that was then ruled out for VAR on Romero's red card, he scored at the 28th minute. 7 minutes later, the penalty was taken. And that was all on the same one. It was all the same VAR. It took him 7 minutes to figure out, 1, he was offside. 2, that's a penalty. It shouldn't be taking that long. And that kind of threw a wrench into everything. And Tottenham couldn't recover because especially with 2 big injuries at the end of the first half.
Yeah. How am I spacing on
It was
this?
James Maddison and Mickey Van de Ven both came off injured, which
Yeah.
if they're out for a little while, Tottenham could be in trouble because they've both been superb this year.
Yeah, they have. Madison, his ability to create goals for other people it's up there with the best players in the league. And without Kevin De Bruyne, he might actually be number 1 right now.
Yeah.
I generally will die on that hill right now. He is so good at creating for his teammates. And he can also score himself when he needs to. So you lose that, you lose your whole attacking creativity, basically.
Mhm.
Like 100%, because just his movement his passing range, everything that he does, his vision, all phenomenal. So you lose that, you lose a huge, not even a huge, like a key component of your attack. And Van de Ven has been phenomenal for a young center back in the Premier League. He has been absolutely phenomenal. His speed, his recovery, his decision making has been far better than I thought it would when he came. I thought young center back, new team, he's going to mess up a lot. He's going to end up losing his spot. That was my prediction when I saw that he moved here from the Bundesliga. But God, he's been better than Romero.
Yes, he has.
Best center back. So you lose him, you lose your best center back, you lose your creative force in attack. I don't know. Could be some rocky few weeks ahead.
Yes,
For sure.
it could be. And I mean, to throw matters worse, those things happened right before the end of the first half. So Tottenham's already without two of their best players, down another center back who was sent off, 1-1. And then a stupid tackle by Udogi. His second yellow card of the match, 10 minutes into the second half, gets sent off. At that point, it's still 1-1, and you're thinking, oh, God, this is getting scrappy. And then Nick Jackson gets his hat trick. Regardless, Tottenham was playing like a makeshift back 3, 4, 5. They were just trying to hold a line and put some pressure on, and Chelsea was breaking and taking advantage of the numbers. Anytime someone gets a hat trick, good on them, but wasn't.
It's 11-9.
Yeah, exactly. It's not hard when it's that much. And two of his goals were literal just, if you put the ball towards the net, it's going to go in. There was nothing anyone could do about it. It was odd number rush, and ultimately Chelsea took advantage of it, and as did he, but this was just such chaos. This entire match was just carnage.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, Chelsea before the red cards did actually look pretty good.
Yeah, they had two goals disallowed.
Sterling chance. Nicholas Jackson had a chance to save by Vicario from point blank range.
Oh, yeah.
So, they were actually creating a fair amount. So, they were in the game. So, it's not like one of these situations where, oh, wow, they got a red card, this changes everything. No, they're already kind of pressing Tottenham. And they already got a goal. Well, no, they actually didn't. No, they got the goal.
Got the goal after.
Yeah, my bad. But they were pressing they looked like they were going to score. I'd say so for sure. I'm actually going to give props to Postecoglou. I saw some people saying, why is he playing this crazy of a high line? Why is he still doing this? Keep doing. You're down 9 guys. You're probably going to get scored on. Do what you do. Do what you do, because if you do it well, the confidence that you build from that, you can never replicate that.
Oh, yeah.
And if you lose, you're gonna lose. You're down to 9 guys. There's nothing to lose from Postecoglou's standpoint, in my opinion. So I see people who are criticizing him for playing this higher line. Why aren't you just soaking in all the pressure? Because if you do that, they're going to score anyway. Because they would just be on top of you, and you would need a miraculous goalkeeping performance and a miraculous defensive performance anyway. So why not do what you do, play your system, and see if you can't create a little bit more? Because you're probably going to lose anyway if you have to play 40 minutes, 35, 40 minutes with 9 guys.
Exactly. I mean, it wasn't even the fact that they were down to 2. It's you lose 2 defenders. Really, you lose 3 defenders in Romero, Van de Ven, and Udogi. So they had that makeshift back 3, 4, like I said, with Pedro Porro. Eric Dyer came off the bench. Emerson Royval, and Bissouma played a little bit there. So, I mean, you're already back against the wall completely. Why not? If you go out, and Son had a chance to make it 3-2, kind of shanked the shot, and then immediately Chelsea go down the other way, counter and score. But Tottenham didn't. I will say Tottenham didn't look terrible by any means with 9 men.
No.
They had 10. They might have held on for a 1-1 draw. Mm-hmm. Hard to say, all the ifs, ands, and buts. But the way Postecoglou handled himself in that post-match press conference was great. All the stuff he kind of just said, he was just like, we're not changing anything. We have our style and we're going to play it, whether it's I think he ended up saying something like, if it's just 5 people on the field, we're still going to play the exact same way and keep pushing forward.
You know what? I respect that so much, and his players are going to respect it too.
Yeah.
You're not going to switch it up. You're going to keep doing what you do. You're going to have faith in your players to execute the game plan. So I think that is you're looking at this. You're not going to win this game probably, but you instill that confidence and that your players know that you have belief in them, and that'll carry on further down the line. So I think like class decision making from Postecoglou in that situation.
Yeah, and this is something that we've all noticed with the change in attitude of this entire Tottenham side under Postecoglou. Because in the past, whether it's Mourinho, Conte, even the manager they lost to in Pochettino, you do something like that, get 2 guys sent off, have some injuries, lose 4-1, the manager would turn on the players a little bit. That's not the case now. And I think that's a big reason why Tottenham has been fighting for this top of the table spot so far and could potentially keep going. It'll be a little difficult with the injuries now, and it's going to be something to see. And I'm sure Pochettino is thrilled with his return to White Hart Lane.
The good news is, from a Tottenham perspective, Maddison could be back in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Against Aston Villa, because it's just an ankle problem. I'm not really seeing what it is here. I'm assuming if that's the case, it's an ankle sprain.
Yeah, like a foot injury, ankle sprain.
Yeah. So he could be back in 2 weeks. Van de Ven, I'm not seeing any info.
No, it was definitely his hamstring.
It's long term.
Yeah.
So that's
yeah. In terms of Maddison, it's fortunate that they have one more match weekend this week, and then it's the international break, so it gives them all time to recover and get back into shape. But overall, Chelsea get the 4-1 win, much closer. Props to Tottenham for at least trying with 9, and Nicholas Jackson got your hat trick. Congrats on that.
Dude, he scores
it's the worst hat trick you're gonna see, but
yeah. And then a brace against Luton?
Yeah.
So he's got really good goal scoring stats, but when you look at the circumstances from where he's gotten the goals, it's a little less impressive, is all I'll say.
Hey, don't sleep on Luton anymore.
Yeah, you're right.
Luton almost pulled off the upset of the season against Liverpool. It was 1-0. It was made 1-0 by Tahith Chong in the 80th minute. Unfortunately, Luton, Luis Diaz, 95th minute, gets an equalizer pretty much at the death, and Liverpool manage a 1-1 draw. But the scenes, the memes, social media would have been a blaze had Luton managed to hold on. But Jackson, what were your thoughts on this match?
Well, Liverpool was kicking their ass.
Yeah.
You expect that. Everyone kicks Luton's ass. But yeah, man, that counterattack that led to the goal was actually beautiful. I forget, it may have been Ross Barkley. I'm trying to remember who off the top of my head with the outside of the right boot I'm not going to remember the name, but then the ball into Tahith Chong was actually inch perfect, and then he just slid in and finished it. And I was like, there's no way.
This isn't happening.
No way. That was a nasty counterattack and a brilliant goal. The stadium was going crazy, and I was like, dude, this could happen. There's not that much time, and Liverpool honestly didn't really look like scoring for a little bit. So what was that, like 70th minute? So they got 20 minutes.
80. They scored the 80th.
Sorry, so 10 minutes. Wow, I completely misread that. But yeah, 80th minute. I was like, dude, this is gonna happen. But then Liverpool obviously they know what they have to do. They start pressing forward. They're getting chances. They're getting good chances. And finally, Luis Diaz with a header in the 95th minute. Breaks hearts. Kaminsky in goal, though, for Luton looked good today, on the day.
Yes, he did.
Really good.
I mean, Luis Diaz only came on in the 83rd minute as a sub. So that more that super sub. And I will say props to him. He's had a brutal week, as I'm sure you know, with all the family stuff back home. So absolutely crazy and good for him to get the goal. But, man, I think everybody outside of Liverpool fans wanted Luton to hold on to this one.
Mm-hmm.
And it really looked like they were going to. like you said, there seemed to be a lack of offensive threat from that front three of Nunez, Hota, and Salah. Plus, Kaminsky made 5 saves. Outstanding performance from him, but
Did
the
you?
pressure overwhelmed him in the end. 74% possession to 26. Kind of expected that, but I think everyone thought this was going to be a much more out of hand match than it ended up being.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be at least 3-0.
Yeah.
Did you see Nunez's miss?
No. I didn't.
Oh my gosh. You need to look this up, man. It was point blank range. So first of all, Salah completely misplayed the header. Like he should have scored the header, says it's Mo Salah. He would probably, I think if I were him, I'd claim I was passing it to Nunez because he ended up like hit the side of his head like right here and went instead of towards the goal right to Nunez's path, who had the entire net at his mercy. I think I think Kaminsky was literally in the goal. Like he was in the goal. Like obviously he's moving over trying to save it, but he's like in the goal. And Nunez blasted 100 miles over from 2 yards out. It was actually horrendous. I was like, bro, there's no way. There's no way. I was actually shocked. So that one should have been a goal.
Yeah.
That's why I thought Luton was going to win because I'm like, Liverpool just looks like they can't score today.
Yeah.
Credit to Luis Diaz. And like you said, with everything going on with his family, like, you've got to be happy for the guy that he gets a little bit of, I don't know, something positive in his life right now. But Luton was this close.
Yeah. And it wasn't a very positive day for him in Liverpool today, this Thursday, which we'll get into in a second. But overall, Luton impressed enough, did enough, got out of the relegation zone for the time being. It's still very much a 4-team race for 3 spots, or really 4-team race for 1 safe spot. 6 points for Luton Bournemouth, 4 points for Burnley and Sheffield United. I wouldn't be surprised if we see the 3 that are down there go down. I feel like there's enough magic with Luton that they might find a way to stay up, but it's really
they've got that storybook kind of feel to them, don't they?
They do indeed.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, the team that pulled away a bit from the relegation zone this weekend and kind of separating themselves from that bottom pack was Everton, getting a very big 1-1 draw with Brighton, which was another one that we didn't really expect to happen. I thought Brighton was going to probably run rampant. They didn't even score a goal. It was an own goal that gave Brighton the equalizer in the 84th minute after conceding 7 minutes in. And Everton's at home a completely different team. They're good enough to stay up or more. They're not as bad as the other 4 teams.
100% agree. And I expected Everton to improve a little bit on last year heading into the year. It looks like that could actually happen now a little bit. I think it's more credit to just how bad the newly promoted teams in Bournemouth really are rather than what Everton's done. But I just don't see them going down. They've got 11 points. They started picking it up. They're getting good results. Calvert-Lewin is doing pretty well on the goal scoring. He didn't score this game, but he's an attacking threat that really kind of changes things ever since he came back from injury. So, and like you said, when you're playing at Goodison Park, it's just a different Everton side.
Absolutely.
100%. With the fans behind them. It's a hard place to play. And, I mean, they looked like they were going to be the victors for a while, get all 3 points. But, I mean, you'll still take the point against a good side. You'll take the point. You had the goal early. Sucks getting scored on that late, but you take the point and you move forward.
And that's something else this is 5 straight Premier League matches that Brighton hasn't won. Are you concerned for them at the moment? Because they started out on red hot form, and now they haven't won since November or September 24th. That was the last win. It was 3-1 against Bournemouth.
Yeah, they're hitting a little. It's not even mid-season. Just they're hitting a little lull right now.
Yeah,
little lull. Nothing to be super concerned about. You're still in 7th place, 18 points. You're actually only 6 points off Champions League. And again, we're only 11 games into the season. So you're completely fine. But you definitely want to see things turn around. You'd think this Everton game is one where you go in expecting all 3 points. not one where you have to labor back to just get 1 point, or it's an own goal that actually did it for you too. So that's obviously disappointing. But you look ahead, you have Sheffield United at home, Nottingham Forest away, and then Chelsea away. All games where you can go and pick up points. Not just points, 3 points. So it's a huge chance to turn things around. They beat Ajax today, 2-0 in convincing fashion. On the road as well. They had to go to Amsterdam. So you have that bit of confidence. I don't think I'd be concerned. I think if they don't come away with some good results in their next two, for sure, I'd be a little bit more concerned because Sheffield United is terrible and Nottingham Forest is terrible, though they did actually show up. So
They did indeed. Team that continues to not really show up time and time again. We are going to move to some of the Champions League. And this was the match of the week, in my opinion, or at least the most entertaining one. The almighty Copenhagen hosted Man United in their Champions League match on Wednesday. And sure enough, Rasmus Højlund gets 2 goals and puts Man U up 2-0. You're thinking this might be a blowout. Then we get a controversial red card. Thank you, VAR. Come back around to that in a second. Elyounoussi gets 1 back. Then they get a second 1 back right before the half. Bruno Fernandes scores a penalty because that's the only goals he does score. Right about the 69th minute. You're thinking, man, you might have this one in the bag. And 2 late goals, 83rd and 87th minute for Copenhagen, sees them win 4-3 and send Man United to the bottom of their Champions League group.
Yeah. I mean, I'm honestly kind of speechless.
Yeah.
In general, they don't want to. I don't even know what it is, man. It just feels like they don't want to win.
No.
You know, everything that happens this year, it just feels like they don't want to win. You're up 2-0. You have the game in control, and you go and get a stupid red card. Well, okay, VAR, whatever.
Yeah.
VAR, but you still get a red card in the 42nd minute.
Yep.
Just like that before halftime. It's 2-2. Now, I couldn't watch this game because I had class, and I was super pissed about it. But I come out, I was like, how is it suddenly 2-2? Because I was like periodically checking. Suddenly it's 2-2. And then I see that it's 3-2. I was like, oh, wow, maybe they'll hold on and get this win. Finish up class, come back, and it's 4-3.
It was
4-3, and they win in the 87th minute. Don't get me wrong. Copenhagen's actually pretty good. Elyounoussi a baller.
Elyounoussi. I love the irony that it was a guy named Rooney who scored the winner for Copenhagen.
Not even notice that.
Yeah. Rooney Bagarji, some
Yeah.
Swedish guy, scored the winner, which just makes it even funnier. But you're right. Copenhagen, through winning the Danish Superliga by 3 points at the moment. So they're usually the powerhouse there. And I don't know. It's just very, very funny to watch. But
I mean, listen to the current Group A standing. So Bayern, 12 points, 4 wins. Then second is Copenhagen, 4 points. Third is Galatasaray at 4 points. And fourth is Man U at 3. They have 3 points, 1 win, and 3 losses. And their win was after an Onana penalty save.
Yep.
In a game where they honestly probably should have lost.
Should have lost. It took a Maguire goal and an Onana penalty to turn it around. And oh man, I will say you didn't see this one match, but Harry Maguire almost scored the goal of the season.
Did he actually?
Yeah, at the very end, they called a foul, which if they're calling that a foul, they should have called the Newcastle goal a foul because he just jumped up and the guy jumped into him and fell over. Ref blew his whistle, but before he blew the whistle, Maguire rips one from outside the D, right off the crossbar and over. Just a one-time just rip that would have sent the crowd to sadness.
He's got moments of absolute class in him.
He does.
I'm not going to lie. I root for Harry Maguire. Every time he does something class like that, I get so hyped. That penalty against Italy is still the best penalty I've ever seen taken in my life.
Oh, absolutely. That was
Unsavable.
no goalkeeper in the world. You could know where that ball is going, and you're still not going to save it.
Unsavable.
But how concerned are you for Man U? Because obviously you just listed off the group. Their next match away to Galatasaray, which is arguably one of the hardest places to go play in the world.
Yeah.
Then home to Bayern Munich. Sure, Bayern Munich have already pretty much clinched winning the group, but they're not going to want to let Man U get a win. So that one's going to be very tough. Is there a realistic shot that we see Man U finish bottom of this group and not even get the opportunity to go down to Europa League, but get knocked out of Europe altogether?
Oh yeah, there's a chance. There is 100% a chance. I'm gonna look ahead. Let's look ahead here. So Man U, obviously, we just listed off what they have to do. I think they lose at Galatasaray. I don't think they win that game. Galatasaray is a good squad, and they've performed both times against Bayern, and they perform well. Just Bayern's better, so Bayern gets the win. They have Harry Kane, so they get the win. But Galatasaray is a good team, and they're looking at Man U right now, and they're like, guys, this has to be a win. We got to be on them from moment one. And I think they will be. Their attack is good. They've got good defense, and the fans are going to be going crazy.
Oh, yeah.
So I 100% think they get that win. We look ahead here. I don't know why I can't see match day 6.
Match day 6, they're home to Bayern Munich.
They're home. Yeah, they're home to Bayern Munich, which means that Copenhagen and Bayern play.
And then Copenhagen and Galatasaray play.
The Copenhagen Galatasaray game could be the determiner. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. Who would have thought that? In Copenhagen. So give a slight advantage to the Danes in that one, but it's
that might be the game to watch.
All to play for in Group A still. I really realistically think Man U loses both of these.
Mm-hmm.
I will say, knowing their luck at times, they'll find a way to win one and call it quits there, but who knows? And I'll say Rasmus Højlund, not doing great in the Premier League, but absolutely balling out in the Champions League. I don't know if you saw it. Copenhagen's youth team, I want to say, was playing Man U's youth team, or it might not have been against Man U's youth team, but Copenhagen's youth team was playing, and the guy who opened the scoring was Højlund's younger brother.
No, really?
Yeah.
That's dope.
Same day, playing one for Copenhagen, one against Copenhagen, and they both scored the opener.
That is dope.
Which that's kind of cool to see, but
parents have to just dude, those soccer families like that, just so cool.
It's any of those, but other Premier League teams in the Champions League at the moment, 2 of them doing well, one of them kind of looking like they might be out of here real soon, and that's Newcastle. Newcastle lost to Borussia Dortmund 2-0, and it honestly could have been worse than that.
Mm-hmm.
Now sitting bottom of Group F. Borussia Dortmund, team projected to finish last by virtually everyone. It's top of the group with 7, PSG with 6, AC Milan with 5, and Newcastle with 4. Newcastle still have to play the Italian and French teams, so I think they're likely done. But
yeah, they have to go to Paris, and they have to welcome Milan. I'm not feeling confident.
No, especially after PSG got humiliated, and they'll be wanting to take care of business at home.
Yeah, you already know Mbappe scoring a brace, at least.
Meanwhile, the other 2, Man City, they're through. I think they've already clinched it. They just keep winning. Helps when you have to play against some young boys, Red Star and Leipzig.
They always get the easiest groups, and I don't understand it.
It's crazy.
Every single year, they get an easy-ass group. We're never going to see it again because of the whole league phase shit. But they always get the easiest groups.
It really is bizarre. Them and Real Madrid, it seems like always have a walk in the park. And other English team in the Champions League, Arsenal, 4 points ahead of PSV, Eindhoven, and Lyon. Beat Sevilla this last week, as you mentioned a little bit ago. You're confident Arsenal get out of the group stage for the first time in forever?
Yeah, I am. I 100% am. We're 1 win away. We have Lyon at home. I think we beat them. I think we're going to be pissed off from last game. We're going to beat them. Do that. We're out. We're into the knockout stage, which is all I want. But we should definitely win this group. And looking at it before, should definitely win this group. So par for the course, minus that little blemish on the Champions League record in France. But apart from that, then smooth sailing. So I think it continues. And yeah, I think we win the next two games. Our group's really not that hard. Sevilla's not very good right now. Lon is terrible right now. BSV is actually pretty damn good. But yeah, we should take care of business the rest of the way.
I agree 100% with that. There are some other interesting groups, at least. I mean, I assume you saw Barcelona fell to Shakhtar Donetsk this week 1-0, which that makes that group interesting. I'm just going to run through some of these. Barcelona, 9 points. Porto, second with 9 points. Actually tied on goal difference as well. So I think it's just that head-to-head win for Barcelona that has them ahead.
Yeah.
Shakhtar with 6. So that one's very close in Group H. Group E, Atletico Madrid has 8 points. Lazio has 7. Feyenoord has 6. Any of those three teams can go through. It's exciting. Champions League is in full swing. We're almost to the end of the group stage, and then you know how it is, chaos. And we'll see some of these titans play against each other, which is why I'm sad that it is changing this format. But hey, money talks as always.
Always, man.
Do want to talk a little bit of another European competition, the Europa League. And as far as English teams go, one team had a terrible day today in France. Wasn't much of a beach holiday for them. Liverpool going to Toulouse, losing 3-2 to the 14th place team in Ligue 1. Jackson was bad. And they had a goal disallowed at the end, to my knowledge. So
yeah, man. I mean, it's not like they're Toulouse a good team. They're not a good team this year.
No.
They're not a good team. So this is a really, really bad loss. Really bad loss. To concede that many. Yeah, no, that's just very, very, very poor.
Yeah, this is a Toulouse team that has only won 3 other matches in all competitions this season before this Liverpool match.
Yeah.
So it's a very bad week for Liverpool, to sum it up in one word. It's dreadful. Drew and Luton, lose to Toulouse. And now that puts them in an interesting-ish spot. They're still sitting comfortably atop the group with 9 points. Toulouse with 7. A couple teams with 4 and 3, but you'd assume they get through. So you mentioned earlier, Brighton got the 2-0 win over Ajax, so they're looking relatively kind of comfortable at the moment. I wouldn't say extremely, but
they look good though.
Yeah,
they're looking good. Unless AEK somehow gets some crazy shit going, they should be good.
Absolutely. And I mean, only other English team that I can think of at the moment is West Ham, who they won again, beat Olympiacos 1-0, sitting atop of their table with 9 points, with Freiburg, the Bundesliga side. So could potentially have 3 English teams moving on to the knockout stage of the Europa League.
And depending on how Newcastle and Man U do, you could have a few more joining them.
At the current rate, though, I don't know if we will.
Yeah.
Only other Premier League team playing in Europe is the almighty Conference League that everybody loves so dearly, and that's Aston Villa. They won 2-1 against AZ Alkmaar this afternoon. Took a late one. They were down 1-0 after a 52nd minute goal. Then got a goal from, what am I blanking? Diego Carlos got him level, and a late goal from Ollie Watkins gave Villa all 3 points against the Dutch side. It's just one question on all these European stuff. Who do you think, which Premier League team do you think has the best chances of winning a European competition this year?
Probably City. Still going to give it to them. I don't think any of the teams in the I mean, I could see Liverpool, but they've just had some really poor performances that I'm not fully convinced, because bigger teams are going to join the other Europa League teams in the knockout stages, so I'm not 100% confident. I'll go City. I do think Real Madrid's going to end up winning the Champions League, but in terms of best, I mean, Jude Bellingham's unreal right now. That's where I have to go. But in terms of best chances for an English team, it's hard to go against, or hard to say anyone other than the team that won the Champions League last year, the
Yep.
team that's on top of the league this year, the team that's kicking ass in the Champions League this year. You got to go City.
Yeah, and I mean they won 6-1 this past week against Bournemouth. Won relatively comfortably in the Champions League as well. Only one I would give a shout to, just because I think they're a good team and the quality of opposition is lesser than the other two. But give me Aston Villa potentially.
Man.
I could see them doing something in the Conference League just because they are one of those on paper bigger teams there. But there's some spicy teams in the Conference League. I will say that much. Can't count out Lille. Club Bruges, you give them some Fiorentina. Like
Frankfurt,
you said,
Fenerbahce,
yeah, that was gonna be my sleeper to win it is Fenerbahce.
and Club Bruges.
Yeah,
Can't forget about them.
Club
Champions
Brugge
League
is-
legends.
yeah, Champions League legends and team that always seems to be drawn against Man City in the Champions League.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So,
This is
Sean,
a-
you always it's always Red Star Belgrade, some other Swiss ass team, and then I don't know. And then you get one that's like decent but not that great, like Leipzig.
Yep.
That's how it always goes.
It does indeed. But now, Jackson, we're going to get back to the Premier League this upcoming weekend. Not the most exciting slate on paper. We did choose our match of the week, and that is Chelsea hosting Man City. What do you think Chelsea needs to do? Because, I mean, as we said, they were very, very fortunate and lucky in their match against Tottenham last Monday. Do you think they have any shot in hell against City, who's just been on an absolute tear at the moment?
In a crazy way, I do. If anyone, I don't know, man. They actually show up against good teams. They play horribly against bad teams, but they've actually showed up against good teams, especially recently. You know, the Arsenal game,
Yeah.
up 2-0, and then it just takes Robert Sanchez being a dumbass, bring Arsenal all the way back. And then, yeah, against Tottenham, yes, they had 2 extra guys on the field, but even before that, they looked good. So I was at Chelsea, which I think helps a lot. If it was at the Etihad, City would kill them. But because it's at Chelsea, I actually think there is a chance that they win. I don't think they will. I think they will lose 1-0.
Okay.
1 or 2. Now I'm going 2, actually. I think City wins 2. Now I'm thinking about it. Nicholas Jackson doesn't give me enough confidence in his goal scoring ability. Trust me, he's going to have chances. I think he'll have chances.
But he won't take them.
He will not take them. And I think City will take them because they always take them. So I think they will win, but I do think Chelsea has a chance. It's not like a game where you're looking at Bournemouth and you're like, okay, there's no chance. Chelsea, actually, I back them over some of the top, like higher up teams in the Premier League against quality opposition. They show up against them because Poch is a good manager and he knows how to prepare his teams for big matchups.
Absolutely.
So I think Chelsea will actually show up and play. And I would not be shocked if they won. I do think City's quality will carry them through, and I think they'll get the win. And Chelsea's lack of quality, especially in attack, will show. So, yeah, City wins 2-0, but don't count out Chelsea. This is what I am thinking for this game.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with you. I do think Chelsea has a fighting chance, but I think Man City is just that good and on such a run of form. I could see them winning 3-0, 3-1 potentially if someone's able to find the back of the net. I mean, like I said, sure, Jackson had a hat trick last week, but 2 of those goals, I think anybody with a pulse could have scored.
Yeah.
Except for Luis Diaz. No, Darwin Nunez.
Yeah.
Darwin Nunez.
You need to look that up, man. That was crazy.
But no, I'm going to back City. I do think they win relatively comfortably. I'm going 3-0 win because they've just been on a tear as of late. And I mean, it's hard not to back them, but I do understand what you're saying. Chelsea at home, coming off a relatively big win, no matter how it came. Pochettino's got the team looking much better than they could have been and much better than they were this time last year. but I just don't think it's enough.
Mm.
Oh. Other matches that of note this week, I guess looking at the top teams, because I guess on the Man City thing, I know it's early, but do you think the title race is nearing being over? I know because Man City just jumped over Tottenham this past week to take over first place in the Premier League. Do you think they just run it out the rest of the season now?
No, no, I don't. I think they can.
But
I don't think they will. I don't think the City team's as good
no.
as last year's. Especially, we've seen what happens when you miss one key player. Well, okay, two because De Bruyne is still out, but you lose a key player, they kind of decompensate.
Yeah.
So no, I don't think it's over, not by a long shot. You lose someone like again. Well, I know he's been suspended, but you lose Rodri again. What happens then? You lose Holland. What happens then? You lose Alvarez. What happens then? They're not as strong as they were last year.
No,
They lost Gundogan. They lost Mahrez. We lose Laporte, who's extra depth in the back. You lose a lot of these guys who are quality players. And don't get me wrong, you add new players as well. I just don't think this team, though, in general, is as strong as last year's.
no.
Trust me, they're going to be in pole position for a lot of the way, but I don't think it's over, not by a long shot. It just depends on whether Arsenal, Liverpool, or Tottenham can really get some momentum going. That's what it comes down to. And I think it'll be Tottenham.
Yeah, I do as well. I think Tottenham's the best of the rest, but we'll find out some of that shortly because their next three Premier League matches, obviously home to Chelsea or away to Chelsea, international break, home to Liverpool, home to Tottenham. So
Yep.
we find out how good they really are because they lost to Arsenal already this season.
Mm-hmm.
There are other two rivals atop the table, but apart from that match, Jackson, what other ones are exciting this week? I'll run through the slate, and if there's anything you want to go in depth with, we can. Starting out Saturday, Wolves hosting Tottenham. I think this is relatively straightforward. I think Tottenham bounced back in a big way. Your thoughts?
Yeah, 100%. Wolves can show up on any given day and perform. That Korean guy is actually pretty good.
Yeah.
He could come out at any point and score some goals. Hwang Hee-chan. I still can't believe Gordon.
It's crazy.
Again, he definitely sees the scouting reports. Anyway, whatever. But yeah, Tottenham should take care of business in that game.
Arsenal Burnley is the next one down the slate.
Come on.
One of these teams is fighting for the Premier League title. One of them is fighting not to be relegated. Give me Burnley. Upset Vic. No, I'm just kidding. I think Arsenal wins comfortably. I'll say 2-0, but I think it could very well be one of those matches where the Burnley goalkeeper makes a couple big saves and it could have the potential of being like a 4-0 drubbing.
Yeah, if we don't win this game,
Season's
a couple of goals.
Arteta out.
Arteta out, yeah. Arteta out. No, but dude, we should kick their ass. If we don't, I will be shocked. I will be so disappointed, and my entire weekend will be ruined.
Sounds about right. That's what
until Iowa beats the over under. Until Iowa beats the over under.
Oh man, it might be a long weekend for you then.
Dude, it's at 28.
Oh, that's right. It's the lowest.
Close.
Who are they playing? Isn't it
Rutgers?
Yeah, that
Yeah.
Big Ten football at its finest.
Mm-hmm.
I still can't wait for. I know we're getting sidetracked, but I can't wait to see like USC or UCLA have to go play in Minnesota.
Oh, dude, November.
It's going to be amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Washington and Oregon do better in the Big Ten than those teams.
I agree.
Back to different football. Crystal Palace, Everton. This one's honestly, I could see either team winning. I'm going to take a draw here. I think this is probably the most boring match on the fixture list this week. In terms of neither team's that exciting to watch. Neither team really is playing for all that much. Give me a draw.
I like that. I'd feel 1-1.
Yeah.
Feel 1-1.
This could be our upset of the week, and I know we're kind of teasing it a little bit earlier before the show started, but Man United, they're in a terrible position at the moment. Can't seem to beat anyone. Sure, they beat Fulham, but that was a 91st minute goal by Bruno. Kind of a little lucky. Hosting Luton. Does Luton get the big upset over the Red Devils?
If this happens, Ten Hag is out.
Oh, he has to be. There's no question about it.
Out. It won't happen.
No.
But I'm here for it. I am here for it. I'm gonna have a second screen up. I am Luton all the way. What I'm here for it. Will it happen now? I think United wins. They win by a couple goals.
I agree.
But,
but
we're here for it. If it happens, great. Maybe weekend gets a little better if Arsenal loses.
That is very fair. My prediction with this one is yes, Man U does win, but I think it's Scott McTominay who gets the winner somehow. Right. It just feels like one of those random games he's going to pop off in.
He does do that a lot, whether it's Holland or United.
No, he just has no reason to play as well, and then out of nowhere he'll just be like, all right, I'm scoring 2 goals today, and I will almost have a third.
Yep,
or
and
I'll have a goal and a couple assists, and we're going to win comfortably.
And then we'll play like shit for the next 3 weeks, get benched, repeat cycle.
Yep, exactly. It's the McTominay circle of life. Mm-hmm. Bournemouth, Newcastle. Newcastle got drubbed this week by Dortmund. I think they bounced back in a big way. Don't think it's as bad for Bournemouth as last weekend's 6-1 loss to Man City was, but I could see it getting a little out of hand as well.
Yeah. Newcastle the only thing that's really like concerned me about them is where the goal scoring coming from without Isak. Don't get me wrong, Callum Wilson can ball, but he's not producing the amount of goals that you'd want. So that's the only thing that concerns me, not in this game, but more so in general, is what happens when Isak's not there. They'll win this game pretty comfortably, though, and I'm curious to see if Wilson can finally start picking up his goal-scoring form a little bit, because we've seen him have to get taken off. They move – I think they go like Almiron, Gordon, and someone else. I've seen Murphy up there with some of them sometimes. So hopefully for Newcastle and Callum Wilson, he gets on the score sheet this weekend.
Here's a question for him, more because you might have seen it more than I have, but I know this is just personal interest. Has Luis Sinisterra been playing it all for Bournemouth?
I have not seen him.
I don't think he has it all. I might have like a couple minutes here and there.
No, dude, I have not seen him actually.
Yeah, because he was the one they were like, oh, he's going to be a baller on loan from Leeds last minute of the transfer deadline day, and don't think he's done much. Meanwhile, his replacement's hooping. That's why I loved it last week. Leeds beat Leicester on a Friday. I don't care what happens the rest of the weekend. It's a good weekend. Other Premier League ones, Aston Villa, Fulham. I'd lean Villa. This one has a draw written all over it. It is at home for Villa, though, so I'm going to back them to win because they're, like 16 in a row at home or something?
Yeah, Villa 2-1.
Yeah. I like that. Brighton, Sheffield United. It seems like it's the possible upset of the week, but Sheffield United have been piss poor. Sure, they got the win over that was a crazy win. The 900th minute they had the winner against Wolves last weekend, but I don't necessarily think they get it done this week. I think Brighton win 2-0.
Yeah, multiple goals. I agree. I think they finally start picking it up because, like we said earlier, they're in that little bit of a lull period right now, not getting the results they necessarily want. Perfect opportunity to change momentum heading into the international break. I think they get it done. I think they get it done comfortably as well.
Yeah. Other one, Liverpool, Brentford. I think we're both going to back Liverpool here. Brentford, we've said time and time again, different team attacking-wise without Ivan Toney. Mm-hmm. See that being the issue for them again this weekend. And then West Ham, Nottingham Forest. I would lean West Ham, and I'm going to lean West Ham, but I don't know why, because they're only a point ahead of Forest, one place ahead of them. This just feels like West Ham has just been one of the more disappointing teams this season.
Yeah, they've really fallen off. because they started out so great, man. Like, we were like, who the hell is this West Ham? Where did they come from? And that ever since that, they've just fallen off. And Forest, now that they benched Matt Turner, decided to start winning. So
They did bench him.
and they won 2-0. He kept the shutout. So not great news if you're a USMNT Turner fan, but if you're a Forest fan, maybe that's the secret sauce, is playing the Greek man Vlachitotos. Oh, I don't even know.
I like the effort.
I can't. I'm pretty good with
Yes.
names, but Greek. The Greek's killing me.
Vlachodimos.
Odysseus Vlachodimos. Yeah, it's Vlachodimos. I have to remember. Odysseus.
That's something we should do at some point. We'll bring on a guest, and we'll do a spelling bee of Premier League players' names.
Dude, some of those would kill. Odysseus Vlachodimos. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, and then after that, it could be anything.
Yeah, exactly. But otherwise, Jackson, I don't have anything else. Do you have any final thoughts on the upcoming Premier League weekend or any of the action we've seen this past week?
Nothing really. Just I think we covered most of it. Got a lot done on this show today.
Yeah, over an hour.
Minimum. We kept the tangents to a minimum. A little bit of Iowa football here and there, but
hey, got to get some of that football in as well. We'll see. Here's my final thought, just because you bring that up. Are we going to see more points in that game, or are we going to see more goals on one of these Premier League weekends, days, like whether Saturday or Sunday or the whole weekend? Are we going to see more goals, or is Iowa and Rutgers going to combine for more?
Could be close, man. It's in Iowa City. It could be close. I don't know, man. Deacon Hill is maybe the single worst quarterback I've ever seen in college football history. He is actually I could do better.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. And thank God Brian Ferentz is leaving at the end of the year. But holy shit, dude. There's a chance Iowa plays in the Rose Bowl this year. And if that happens, I am writing so many posts for Vendetta on college football that have no meaning except for my fan experiences.
Well, there you have it. Iowa football is wrapping up this episode of It's Called Football, the Premier League podcast on Vendetta Sports Media. Make sure you guys click that subscribe button. Stay tuned for our episode next week. Jackson, pleasure as always. Thank you guys for the viewers for watching. We'll see you next time.